India's IT sector may be slowing down, but Keshav Murugesh thinks it'll double its size to $350 billion by 2025. The turnaround chief of mid-tier BPM player WNS gives us his game plan on this week's Managing Asia.
It's great to chat with you. I'm thrilled.
Keshav Murugesh is known as a turnaround guy. First at IT services company Singtel, then India's WNS, a global BPM company.
Well, I like to do better and better. I set the benchmark high and I like to overachieve.
He had taken Singtel from a market cap of $400 million to $3.5 billion before he was headhunted to helm WNS in 2010.
So I got this call and somebody said, you know, a senior private equity person wants to meet with me. And I said, you know, for what? He said, you know, this person is in charge of a company called WNS. And I said, you know, I'd never heard of this company because we were not competing with them. Yeah. This was a BPM company and I was more in IT services. And I said, I'm happy to meet him for lunch just before I take the plane out. And he says, I don't know you, but I'm told that you are the right guy to turn around WNS. And I said, why? He said, no clue, but everyone I ask says that you have, you know, the right ingredients to do that. Anyway, we chatted and I said, I'm not really interested. So I got up, we shook hands, and I said, I'm going to catch my plane. And I said, what about you? He said, oh, I'll join you. I'm also going to catch my plane. And I said, you mean, what's the story behind this? He said, look, can you see that BA plane there? Right? I said, yeah. He said, I just landed on that plane from London to meet with you, and I'm going back. That's when, you know, the penny dropped. I said, if somebody can make that kind of effort, fly 9 hours to the US, and then fly back after, you know, 2 hours or whatever, it made sense for me to look at it. Somewhere along the way, while it had led the industry, it had lost its way. And I said, that's something I could really fix, you know, with a good team and some clear, you know, differentiation being created.
His differentiation was pushing beyond vanilla BPO to BPM or business process management.
If you look at the BPM industry itself, we've been through 3 models. One was the first old model of your mess for less, you know, really the wage arbitrage model. Then we moved to a model of value beyond cost, which was, you know, really driven by companies like WNS in the earlier avatar. And now my big excitement and focus is all around the new transformation that we can create for our clients, leveraging the new models of social, mobile analytics, cloud, artificial intelligence, and the whole area of robotics, you know, process automation. I think, you know, that's creating a massive new opportunity for the industry and for WNS.
Instead of traditional BPO services for human resource or finance, he's offering end-to-end vertical solutions for entire businesses, whether in airlines, healthcare, or banking. So Keshav, you're the first in the outsourcing industry to come up with this end-to-end vertical model. What was the reaction you got when you announced the idea?
Well, the analysts and a lot of people actually thought we were crazy because they said, look, the business is accepting any model at this point in time. You guys exist to only help clients reduce their cost. So why are you doing this? And we said, no, the future of the BPM industry is going to be all about helping our clients to transform themselves. It cannot be only about wage arbitrage and lowering costs, but all about, you know, helping them, you know, be strategic in their thinking. And that's why we back the strategy.
When you say your people will be specialized, how specialized will they get in helping your clients?
Look, our people understand the sub-vertical elements of each business vertical. So whether it's, you know, in banking, we have experts who can talk about cards, who can talk about retail, who can talk about wholesale, who can talk about capital markets. The same with the healthcare side, the same with the utility side. So the reality is, by doing this, our clients understand that when they're interacting with our people, they're interacting with people who know their business probably better than they know it, based on unique experiences coming across many companies.
Are your people trained to think like CEOs?
That's the future. Everyone has to think like a CEO because the future, in my view, is going to be driven by people who can interact with a CEO or a CFO or a CEO who will know enough about business domains, enough about technology, has to be articulate, has to be able to make an elevator pitch in 3 minutes, and has to have commercial acumen so that the CEO on the other side sees value for themselves, and on our side, this person is creating value for WNS as well.
Your turnaround strategy involved turning WNS employees from generalists to specialists. This is not something that happens overnight. Where did you start?
Look, I'll tell you, when I first came into WNS, the first thing we needed to do was to really get every employee integrated into the vision for the company, as well as to understand what our core values were.
So buy into your vision.
Buy into the vision. And to do that, the first thing I did was do a Gallup kind of a poll to understand what employees thought about the management team. And I was shocked to find that they actually felt a little disillusioned because they felt cut off, from the strategy, cut off from communication, things like that. So what we did was bring in 40, people from across the organization, across every level, to participate. That itself, helped consolidate my position as someone they could trust, right? Then we did a 5-day exercise in terms of just, creating the new, mission for the company. And we came out of that meeting saying we enable our clients to outperform with our passion for service and innovation. So very clear in terms of what we stood for. And around that we said, what should our differentiation be, right? And we said our differentiation will be all around end-to-end vertical. But the whole market was looking at offering horizontal services, whether it was finance and accounting or analytics or contact center, whatever. We said we will offer insurance services, we'll offer banking services, we'll offer healthcare services and whatnot. And that meant changing the DNA of our employees, from being people who were told what to do to people who became thinkers and who had to then go to the client and tell them, here's where your business is headed and here's what we think you should do.
So did you have to hire specialized people from each specific industry and bring them into the company, or did you train your employees within the company to be specialized people? How long did the process take?
Actually, a combination of both. Because the reality is, first and foremost, the bulk of our revenues came only from Europe, right? Because of our BA lineage, you could expect. And we said we have to diversify the revenue base. So the first thing we did was say that let's go out and hire really top quality salespeople, both in North America and the Asia Pac region as well. So big investment behind that. And around this, we also needed to make sure that we were walking the talk in terms of our domain specialism, because there is no such thing as, say, healthcare. While we generally call it healthcare, it is payer, provider, it is device, it is so many of these other things. And therefore, we had to bring in people with that expertise at a sub-vertical. Very specialized expertise at a sub-vertical level across insurance, across healthcare, across banking, and really ensure that the client started trusting us much more, because they said, what, we are interacting now with people who understand our business better than we do, right? So we can trust these people. Their strategic orientation is all around really focusing on non-linear models of growth, which means they're not asking to be paid based on the inputs they give, but much more based on the outcomes they provide. And because of the investments we were making at the back end, Christine, it allowed us to dramatically grow both revenues and profitability across this time.
When you first joined the company, WNS has presence only in 4 countries. Today, it has a geographical reach of 13 countries, 52 delivery centers, and more than 30,000 employees. What's next in building that truly global footprint?
The reality is that the market continues to be very nascent. There is, it is very underpenetrated. The demand for our services is still very nascent. It shocks me to see the kind of brands and companies that are even today, dipping their toes in this model. And therefore, the opportunity for a smart company like us to really, grow dramatically is high. So from an organic point of view, we'll continue to make the investments to grow. But at the same time, we will also, over a period of time, who knows, we may also look at something transformational, maybe take out a competitor in the medium to long term.
You won't rule that out?
Absolutely.
Anything else out there you're eyeing? Who are you eyeing to take over?
For us, the opportunity in the market is so immense that we are excited with it. Our sales pipeline is extremely strong. Our people are extremely motivated, with the kind of opportunity they are seeing, and, the ability to constantly recreate oneself. So I see no reason why with this team we cannot get it done.
Let's talk more about this, because you say you want to take out a competitor. Let's just say, out of curiosity, which competitor would you like to take out if you had an opportunity?
No, so at this point in time, I will say that we are focused completely on digesting the acquisitions that we brought in over the past year or two. But longer term, I believe that as the market continues to grow and as the opportunity for us to, continues to be seen the way it is, I see no reason why we will not rule that out. But at this point in time, it is not on our horizon.
You have substantial business in the US. A lot of your clients come from there. You feeling any impact from changes in the H-1B visa policy under the Trump administration?
Fortunately, we are not at all impacted by the H-1B regime because we do not leverage those visas at all. And in fact, from our perspective, the focus really is on the CXO community with our clients. We just make sure that we are investing in all of the right models. We are front and center in front of them, helping them with the disruption that they are seeing in their kind of business models. And from that perspective, we are also a job creator in each one of these countries. Like I said, we operate from 13 countries. Only 21,000 of our 34,000 people are India based. 13,000 are actually based in all these other countries, including the US. So from our perspective, no impact at all.
Let's talk about earnings because WNS is, of course, listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Last fiscal year, 2017, you pulled in revenues of $602 million US, net profit of about 88 million US. Where do you see this fiscal year, given how sluggish growth is?
We continue to be an outlier in this space. So our revenue guidance growth for this year is in excess of 20%, while the industry is growing at 8 or 9%, so which is very positive. From a profitability point of view also, we are 4 to 5 percentage points higher than any of our competition. While there is so much of disruption and noise around technology, around disruption, around the political rhetoric across the world, WNS is actually at a lifetime high at this point in time in terms of our stock price. Our market cap is at 1.8 or 1.85 billion at this point in time. And we still expect that it is undervalued, and that's the reason why our capital allocation program continues to kick in. We're still doing buybacks, and we're still looking at adding new capability through acquisitions.
Where do you see results this year? How much of growth are you looking at?
I mean, that's the guidance we gave out. Our guidance actually is talking about growth in excess of 20%.
Will you be revising your guidance up?
We will definitely fine-tune our guidance, at the October board meeting. And we'll have to wait to see what the results are.
Well, a lot of people can't help compare WNS with global IT rivals like Infosys and Wipro. Do you think you have what it takes to become a multi-billion-dollar player?
Yeah, so I think from a positioning point of view, I think we're in a very different place already because the two companies that you mentioned are really IT services players who are also doing a bit on the BPM side. And the reality is the market expectation is very different, right? Because from a buyer's point of view, I think it is quite established today at this point in time that buyers, want to work with IT services players for IT solutions and prefer working with business process management, players for the BPM side. And that's the reason why we have continued to focus on being a pure play business process management player. Having said that, we have enough of technology and technology solutions and IP created within WNS to be extremely dangerous. So for us, being the most impactful partner to our clients is what matters.
But you have dreams of becoming a multi-billion-dollar company.
Absolutely.
When will
we want to be a big company, a bigger company than this, and we want to be the most impactful space. And I told you, I mean, we are looking at acquisitions, we're looking at organic growth, and in the long term we also look at transformational kind of acquisitions. So all of this is available to us in our toolkit, and we'll wait and watch.
What sort of time frame are you looking at?
Look, the reality is the market is so strong. So I think we have at least 5 to 10 years to execute on our vision.
Don't go away. Coming up next.
There has been some amount of negative news in terms of job losses, this, that, and the other. On the BPM side, actually, there's been no, negative noise at all.
When you look at IT global spending for BPM, it is slowing down. Do you see a pickup in tech spending on the horizon? Managing Asia will be right back.
I must mention that, while over the past 1 year or so, there's been so much of negative news, on the IT services side, and therefore for a little while there has been some amount of negative news in terms of job losses, this, that, and the other. On the BPM side, actually, there's been no negative noise at all. In fact, the whole opportunity around BPM has been seen as positive.
India has always enjoyed pole position when it comes to BPO, BPM outsourcing. But given increasing competition, how much is India losing out, you think, to countries like China and the Philippines, who are also jostling for a share of this growing BPM, BPO industry?
I actually think that India's role in this business is only going to keep expanding. At this point in time, India contributes, I think, about 153 billion from an IT BPM point of view in terms of exports, and that is 7.5% of India's GDP. And the target is to take it now to 350 billion by 2025. So there's a solid aspirational goal in terms of where we want to be. The reality is India has so many advantages in terms of the talent, in terms of the investments being made, in terms of the technical expertise, and in terms of the language, that it is going to be very difficult for many other countries to compete with India. But what India has really done is expand its shores by incorporating all these countries in the global IT and BPM model. So what gets done in the Philippines, for example, WNS has 3,000 to 4,000 people in the Philippines, right? What we do out of the Philippines cannot be done really out of India. What we do out of South Africa really cannot be done out of India. And what gets done in, say, Costa Rica or Romania, will be done only there. So the reality is India will continue to play, pole position. I actually think that India will grow much faster because of the disruption that we're seeing is actually creating completely new opportunities, and the government is very serious about leveraging those opportunities. And on an overall basis, I think all these countries are working together to give end clients a wonderful experience.
When you look at IT global spending for BPM, it is slowing down. Do you see a pickup in tech spending on the horizon?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that technology spending will continue to be the biggest area of spend, for CEOs longer term. And I think, all, information coming out of the analyst community is actually pointing towards that. And it's all driven around the new trends we're seeing on the technology side. As we know, disruption is far higher on the client side, much less on the provider side, because I think the clients have realized that all providers are actually investing dramatically in the technology side to service them better. But on an overall basis, across both sectors, investment in technology will only continue to rise, and that will create much more opportunity for young, smart people.
What about impact on the BPO industry itself? Will AI replace BPO employees? Will chatbots, for instance, see employees lose their jobs?
Great question. So if you think of it, every time there has been progress in a business model, in the short term, there has been impact on the low level side. So whether it is the agricultural revolution or the industrial revolution or IT revolution for that fact. In the short term, there was an impact, but the longer term, the market grew, the opportunity actually grew. So even, with, robotics, process automation and AI models, like I said, we are actually investing in those models. We are actually cannibalizing some of our revenues in the short term to be more impactful to our clients in the longer term. So in spite of all of this, we are actually guiding the market towards revenue in excess of 20%. And the reality is all these are going to create much bigger opportunities while allowing people to move much higher in the value chain. So the lowest end work, which is commoditized, will now be done by chatbots and robots and things like that. But people with domain skills will move to the higher levels.
Don't go away, more with Keshav Murugesh, Group CEO of WNS, in just a moment.
The good thing that my people say about me is the fact that, if there's uncertainty, we can just go to this guy and he will make a call, right or wrong, he'll make the call, right?
He'll do something.
I think, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's wrong, but we, course correct very quickly.
Managing Asia, we'll be right back. In your 30-year career, you fixed two struggling companies, Syntel and now WNS, which you are now CEO. Where did you get this knack for fixing companies? What's your secret formula?
Well, actually, my focus has not been really on fixing things. My focus has always been on, understanding business and growing businesses. So, while I was studying and doing my chartered accountancy, on the side, I actually helped create two new businesses as well. And I learned a lot from those businesses because I was interacting with people directly at the street level and understanding what a customer really wants. That's where this whole impact of value-driven businesses really impacted me, one. Thereafter, my focus was on, how do I get other people, to get involved in this, long-term journey. And therefore, the whole focus on talent management, making sure that, the organization that we ran was seen as one where, there is a hierarchy, but really everyone sees themselves as equal, performing, understanding what the vision is, what the values are, understanding what the impact of differentiation is, and then driving outcomes. So for me, the focus has always been leveraging the right people, leveraging the right value system, creating absolute clarity in terms of mission, vision, value proposition, and then leading people to drive higher top line, bottom line, and market impact. And I think that
sounds very theoretical. Do you have
no,
it all
but
in your
it
head?
works. It's worked twice, and it can work in the future as well.
How much of your turnaround strategy is based on gut instinct?
I think a lot of it. I take decisions very quickly. So I'm very clear in terms of what the organization needs to do, and I communicate it across the company, right? But there are times where, while I'm democratic and while, people, I take views from everyone, there are times where ultimately you got to make a call on certain things, and I make that call, very quickly. So I think the good thing that my people say about me is the fact that, if there's uncertainty, we can just go to this guy and he will make a call, right or wrong, he'll make the call, right?
You do
and
something.
I think, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's wrong, but we, course correct very quickly. But till now, we've generally been okay.
You're 54 years old, trained as a chartered accountant, spent 13 years with ITC, switched to Syntel, put on this BPO outsourcing strategy for the company, which turned it around. Then you joined WNS in 2010. How would you describe your leadership and your management style?
Well, I would say it is, first of all, very collegial. From my point of view, it is, I'm very transparent in terms of what I want. In terms of what I want at the company, I'm very clear that it is a meritocracy. There's absolute clarity in terms of what we want to get done. But I'm very democratic. I'm very transparent. I get people aligned around the common cause, and we together work as a team to drive the results.
What drives you? What motivates you?
Well, growth and success for me and my team.
Is there anything that you don't like or dislike?
Sometimes if I'm not able to fix something, as quickly as I would like it to, I get impatient and I don't sleep well at night about that. But otherwise, generally I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. So I really, believe that there is no, way you can fail as long as you're confident and you're, focused on getting the right things done.
You're an avid cricketer, something you inherited from both your parents. Is there anything about cricket that you would bring to the world of business?
Absolutely. I think, cricket, football, some of these team games helps you appreciate the impact of everyone in the team. And the fact that, quite often many of them are performing well, and there are times when some of us don't perform well. And that's when the team gets together and carries them. And I think I've learned a lot, from all my sporting kind of affiliations.
Do you always play to win? You hate losing?
Yeah, I play to win, that's for sure. I play to win, and if I lose, we learn from it.
And finally, after turning around 2 companies, you looking to turn around a 3rd?
Not necessarily. I actually think that the opportunity at WNS is massive from here. I think we're at the 3rd phase of growth for the industry. And I think WNS, based on its positioning, can lead the next level of growth for the industry. And therefore, from my perspective, I think I'm really focused on, driving, more momentum here. And I don't see any reason why I cannot take the market cap from where it is to a much higher multiple and the overall impact of this company as the most successful company in the space to the next level.
So the turnaround king is staying put for now?
Yeah, I think so.
And that was Keshav Murugesh, Group CEO of WNS. Hope you've enjoyed the program. Do check us online at managingasia.cnbc.com for more exclusive leadership insights. Until next time, I'm Christine Tan. Thanks for watching.